Hey guys, Ken Wood here, Director of Music Ministries at Hope Lutheran Church, to answer some questions that I've received. Those of you who have filled out our questionnaire, I want to thank you so much for doing that. We had several people who either knew or had an interest in a group they were less familiar with, who wanted to know about the groups that were mentioned and have more information. So I want to go through those for you as quickly as I can. If you are familiar with a group already, you still may want to watch this because I'm about to announce when particularly the 5 groups at Central will be meeting this year. And I think it's important for those who are interested in being a part of that to know that in advance. Though we don't have start dates yet, I do have times of the week. So I'm about to go through those one at a time. We will start with the Central campus, and then we'll move our way to Lake Weir and then finish with South. All right, so Central, we have 5 major groups and then one that meets less frequently seasonally, and that's not including the summer session singers, which some of you may be familiar with, that we kind of put together just to take around to the campuses. Keep in mind that the majority of our groups are specifically focused at one of the 3 campuses. So when I'm talking about a group name, it is specific to the church or the campus that it comes from, okay? So Voices of Hope, or VOH, is our first one. That is our mixed choir that normally does anthems weekly at the Central campus. Now, in the past, they've been involved in 2 services per week, but right now, as you know, on Sundays, we only have 2, and I've got other groups that are going to need to be involved as well. So from this point forward, until further notice, the Voices of Hope will only perform their weekly anthem at the 10 o'clock service. So anybody interested in Voices of Hope, that will be the service that group normally sings at. They will no longer be involved in 8 o'clock, and of course we don't have anything later than that right now. The only time that changes is in the event that we're doing something other than Sunday morning, like Christmas Eve, or on a major holiday weekend like Reformation, where we'll do all services simultaneously, one after another. Okay, so Voices of Hope is our mixed choir. They meet weekly for an hour and a half for rehearsal. Now, I need to let you all know, beginning in August, whenever that first date is, and like I said, I don't know when that is yet, but I'll make sure that you're all aware of it beforehand. We will start rehearsing on Thursday nights like before, but it will now be from 6 o'clock to 7:30. So Voices of Hope will now begin rehearsing from 6 o'clock to 7:30 on Thursday nights as soon as we begin, as soon as possible. And then once again, we will only be singing at 10 a.m. on Sundays. So those of you that are affected by that, please know that and be aware. Okay, moving on. Brotherhood of Harmony, or BOH. That's our men's group, okay? If you are looking for a choir to get your feet wet, do not want to be standing out in a group necessarily, and maybe need some other voices to follow in your section to feel more comfortable, Voices of Hope is definitely the group to start. If you're looking for something that's a little more specific and might have more detailed or difficult passages, many times we find that our men's and women's groups offer that kind of music because the groups are smaller and because we're splitting what would normally be into 2 sections, sometimes into 3 or 4, sometimes even more than that. All right, so getting back to Brotherhood of Harmony, that is our men's group at Central Campus once again. They meet normally, we're going to call it 50 minutes a week for rehearsals, okay? They will continue to meet on Thursdays, but their rehearsals will now be from 3:30 to 4:20 on Thursdays. So 3:30 to 4:20, and then we have a little bit of a break for dinner, and then you all can come back for 6 to 7:30 in case you're in Voices of Hope as well. And that is Brotherhood of Harmony. And once again, I don't know exactly the date that will begin yet, but it'll be as soon as I can get it to you. All right. That group, by the way, will begin doing a once a month anthem at the 8 o'clock service at Central. And they'll rotate through as they have in the past with the Sisters in Song and the Spirit Ringers as well. So you'll only need to learn 1 or maybe 2, maybe like an exit anthem or something for each service, and that'll be on a monthly basis. And we will rehearse, like I said, for 50 minutes a week from 3:30 to 4:20 on Thursdays. Next in the Central Campus groups is Sisters in Song, SIS, okay? That is our women's group, very similar to Brotherhood of Harmony. It's a smaller group, has only ladies in it. splits pieces into 3 or 4, and they will meet on Tuesdays. So that is a change in days. They will meet on Tuesdays from 3:30 to 4:20. As you may have picked up, we are trying to coordinate the end of our rehearsal with right about the point at which the office closes. So, Sisters in Song, Tuesdays, 3:30 to 4:20. And once again, they will also be performing one service at 8 o'clock per month at the Central Campus. And that will begin as soon as possible. Okay? Fourth, we have Spirit Ringers. In years past, Spirit Ringers was split due to social distancing into more than one smaller group. This year, our attempt is we're going to put it back together. So, with as many ringers as are interested in joining us once again, we'll spread out if necessary and as far and wide as we need to get our group back together and try to use all of those 5 octaves that we have at Central. Do you have to be a music reader to be in Spirit Ringers? No, you do not. So if you're thinking about joining that group, it will help you, as always, as in any group, to have more of a musical understanding, but our groups will allow for you to step in no matter what your level of ability. So please do not hesitate to come and join us or express your interest if that's something that you'd like to do. So Spirit Ringers will be meeting still on Wednesdays as they did before, and this will now be from 3:30 to 4:20. So we have 3 groups now on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday that are all meeting from 3:30 to 4:20, Spirit Ringers being the one on Wednesdays. And we'll probably go back to meeting in the sanctuary with all of these groups, but we'll have to see because the kitchen and the fellowship hall is much more in use now than it once was. So that said, our final group of the 5 is the Sunshine Celebration Band. Most folks who do not attend the 4 o'clock Saturday service may not be as familiar with that group. And if you're not into contemporary music as much, then this may not interest you. However, I do know that we had at least one interested individual asking about that. So I want to make sure you understand that that group does rehearse year-round, whereas the other 4 groups I've already mentioned only rehearse effectively about 9 months out of the year with a 3 months off for summer. So that group, the Sunshine Celebration Band, they take up that 4 o'clock Saturday Central service pretty much every week and meet together right now to rehearse sometime around 2 to 2:30 on Saturdays for an hour or an hour and a half before the service itself, which begins at 4. There is a possibility that an additional weekday rehearsal will be reinstituted. We've had a little bit of an upset because our usual leader was called away this summer, and we've kind of been getting by with different folks rotating through who didn't have the ability to rehearse in the middle of the week. But when Dennis Keenitz comes back to take that group over again, he may decide that we want to go back to an extra rehearsal during the week. And when we know if and when that happens, we will be sure to let you know. But for now, you can rest assured to know that that Saturday rehearsal from somewhere in the neighborhood of 2 or 2:30 in the afternoon for an hour and a half still remains. If you are a vocalist or you're an instrumentalist and you're interested in that group, you'll need to make your interest aware to one of us on staff so that we can find out more about your background and your ability level and your interests so that we can fit you as best as possible. But we are always looking for guitarists, keyboardists, singers, drummers, percussionists, and even potentially if you're a lead instrument player of some kind, horn, sax, I guess if we had a fiddle player, violinist, whatever, we'd even look into doing something like that. I certainly always want to know if there are people of talent in our congregation who are interested in giving back. So consider that as well. So that covers the 5 groups from the Central Campus. If those were the ones you were looking for, you're welcome to stop the video. But I'm going to continue now with what information I have about the Lake Weir campus. In the past, prior to COVID, we had a Lake Weir choir and we also had a Lake Weir chimes group. They don't have handbells up there, but they do have hand chimes, 3 octaves of those, and we're very effectively able to put an ensemble together periodically through the year. So once again, Dennis Keenitz leads those. When he returns in the end of August to take back the groups that he was leading, he will be determining when the rehearsal times and when the pieces that are going to be rehearsed are going to begin. So if you're interested in those groups, and I've got you on a list, know that you will be contacted when we have more information for you. But if you are thinking about that now that I've said something, you're more than welcome to email and make us aware. As always, that address you can use is musicupdate@hopeforall.church. That's the word music update at hope, the number 4, all.church. You can always let us know, hey, I heard about this such and such. I want to hear more about it. Or you want to come check it out or see what a rehearsal is like. So before COVID, I know those groups were basically meeting on Sundays. That may still happen, but I'm not sure. They may decide that they want to add additional days of the week or change that rehearsal. So as soon as we have more information for you, we will let you know. So I want to make you aware that both of those are things that we'd like to get back up and running. Before I get to the South Campus, let me just address quickly folks that had expressed an interest in anthems or song leadership. Song leadership, also known as cantoring, is something that we have used volunteers for. Anthems as well is something that we use people that I'm aware of their ability who have sung for a while. And in a sense, those are groups, I should say those are individuals who offer assistance for services where we don't have a group singing or leading already, or where we can record something in a video and utilize that in addition to whatever we may have going on live. These are people that I am well aware of their ability, and I know that they're confident singers, that they can do that without me needing to be directly involved. And if that's something that you'd like me to be aware of, if that's an interest you have, I would love to have you audition, and I will give more information about how to go about doing that so that I can be aware of your ability and make sure we can place you appropriately. So if you have expressed an interest to me in wanting more information about that, know that I will be in contact with you and let you know when we can get together so that I can hear you sing and or play, depending on what it is you do. All right, South Campus. It's interesting how many folks we've had that have wanted to know more about opportunities to sing down at our Everglades campus. Up to this point, we really haven't had anything formally in place as of yet, and honestly, haven't had much of a chance to discuss it with the music staff particularly. However, I will tell you that due to the overwhelming response I've received from people, I want you to know that I will be planning an ensemble in some capacity, even if it's just not temporarily, even if it's just now and then. That we'll put something together with folks that are interested in singing down Everglades, and perhaps work an anthem of some level of kind of blended stylistically, so that it could be used at either the 8 o'clock or the 10 o'clock service. And I've had many people say that they'd love to sing at one or the other, so perhaps we can try to overlap and find something that would work for both. Not that it is on the schedule right now, but the time frame that will be carved out of the week in order for that rehearsal to take place when it is scheduled will be Mondays from 3:30 to 4:20. So, Summer Session Singers has been more or less rehearsing that time slot all summer. We did that some before then with a different group. So Mondays, 3:30 to 4:20 is available, and it's something that we're going to kind of keep available so that if and when we decide to have a rehearsal for the South Campus Choir, which won't necessarily be weekly and it won't necessarily be immediately, but it will come, and when that time is, it will be on Mondays from 3:30 to 4:20. So you can kind of keep that available in your back pocket so that you know when the time comes that that'll be happening. Those are about the only groups or things that we have going with a definite plan right away. The only other one that I want to speak to quickly is CCH. Some of you looked at that word and went, what's the contemporary, or CC, what is this? Combined Choirs of Hope. The Combined Choirs of Hope used to be called the Cantata Choir, for lack of a better way of saying it. It is primarily made up of the Voices of Hope, which is our large ensemble at Central, I've already mentioned, and anybody else from any other campus, or even people from the community who don't necessarily attend Hope, who would like to sing with that major event that we're putting it together for. Right now, and probably for the future, The two main events that we use that for are our Christmas cantata, which is always 10 days after Thanksgiving in the early part of December, right as Advent begins, or our Tenebrae service held on Good Friday night there a couple days prior to Easter in the spring. Those are the two events that we bring the CCH together to sing for. So if you're interested in joining that group and you are not a member of Voices of Hope, you would need to make me aware so that we could get you on the contact list so that you got all the necessary information. How does that rehearse? Well, Voices of Hope will continue to have their own normal rehearsal schedule separately, but anybody who's going to join the group just for that event only will have their own specific rehearsal schedule that usually takes place within the month prior to the event, almost always on weekends. And I usually give people some options so they don't have to choose every rehearsal, but they have to pick one out of two from a couple of different groups so that you can be prepared. And of course, we'll then use also pre-recorded accompaniment tracks and other rehearsal materials to help you so that you can learn on your own. So we put all that together, we call it the CCH, and then we have a nice big full ensemble for those events that always works well. So in case you wondered what that was, that specifically is what that is. So you don't have to go to Central in order to be a part of CCH. You don't even have to go to Hope the rest of the year. If that's something you'd like to be considered to be a part of, make sure I have you on my contacts list so that when the time comes, I can let you know of that opportunity. So anyway, now that I've said all of that, talked to you about the descriptions of the groups and talked to you about the times for the central groups when we're going to rehearse, I hope that you have all of your questions answered. But if there's any other questions you've got that I didn't answer, once again, please feel free to email me at musicupdate@hopeforall.church. Signing off, this is Ken Wood, Director of Music Ministries. Thank you, guys.